Much of what people fight about, I believe, is about recognition. First of all, how do you see yourself? What do you see in yourself when you look in the mirror? Not just in the physical mirror, but internally. When you look at yourself, do you see yourself as, or what do you see yourself as? How you perceive yourself. Yes, you can have self perception, and how you come across may or may not meet that perception, but you can have self perception. And then you are in dealing with relationships with people, and those people also have a perception of you. And you have a perception of them. And so as you're dealing with people, you're getting to know who they've become, what their personality has created them to be. And then there's a core person that is inside of each person, which is what exists naturally inside of you. It's almost like being a make and a model of your own kind. You know, a seed that produces naturally something unless you formulate something different around it. So you're dealing with a person and they have a perception of you as well. The question that I have is, how do you see yourself? What do you recognize as being you? And when you are dealing with another person, do you recognize them according to how you see yourself? Are those two people in a combined relationship? Do they correlate to one another? Do they balance one another out? That sort of thing. In the developing stage of becoming a person and producing a goal, it's a it's a sight thing. It's a sight with how you see yourself, where you want to see yourself, and are you going to be satisfied with that self according to what you expect that self to do for your existence as in value. And so when people are dealing with each other, they're looking at what they think they are, what they would like to be, and they're dealing with a person according to who uh, they think that person is. But then again, another question, do we recognize one another at the core? Some people are really literally created to be a certain type of an artist. They create, they develop, and they are themselves, and they are at home when they're in that state. And there are other people who seem to be what we could call a brainiac. There's different types of brainiacs, but who love to study and learn and apply it to whatever it is that they do. And so, do you recognize that in the other person? Do you recognize what they are at the core, what's naturally at home inside of them? And do they recognize that in you? And that determines if two people truly are getting along or not, getting along with each other genuinely. And so, when people fight, it's like, okay, so, and what is the fight about? You know, the issues and the conflicts you have, I say that all the time, but your right to be yourself, your right to be which self? That's another thing. You know, there are different selves that you can become at different areas or in different areas of your life, I should say, different stages of life. Trauma literally develops a person and kind of becomes like a version of yourself. And then you've got the version of yourself that emerges after, you've been through enough things. And it's like, hey, this is where I am now. And so I just wondered to myself, with your recognition of yourself, my recognition of myself, who am I as a person? Who do I see myself as? What do I consider myself? Does that natural self, or that self that I recognize in me, does it recognize the you in you? Or am I trying to make you become something that I can recognize? Are you trying to make me become something that you can recognize, so that our two actively functioning people can get along? And I would venture to say it's more important for people to be able to function along with someone that they naturally recognize at their cores, and not someone that you're trying to create to become somebody that you can recognize. So if you've got a free bird and that's their natural personality, you either get along well with that free bird or you don't. But if you try to fix and change that, it's probably not going to be a good continual relationship. And vice versa. If you got somebody who is naturally quiet and observant, and you want them to be more outgoing, gotta let them be who they naturally are. With the regard to being able to, you know, sacrifice, compromise somewhat for you, but to be their natural, true selves. And so, I think there's a person living underneath the surface, beneath the surface of all of us, that is someone other than who we've been groomed and trained to be. And I think that person and everyone needs to breathe, and that person needs to be with that same person and the other person whoever that is, romantically, friend wise, or however else the relationship is, that they're with another person who's breathing just like that. And those two people breathing naturally gravitate or harmonize together as whatever they are in relationship. I think that's the God designed order for man. And when we get to that place of our authenticity, I think that's when those relationships reflect that type of harmony.